What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Young Rich Podcast. Today we have a very action-packed episode. Today we're going to be discussing the NBA Cup, which has been going through. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the NFL game yesterday, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. Do a little recap. The Rookie of the Year race in the NFL, is it over? Is it signed and sealed and delivered for Jaden Daniels to run away with that award? And so we'll be getting into that. We'll be discussing Anthony Richardson to start for the Indianapolis Colts again. And then, talk a little bit about the NBA Cup, which is going on today. It's been a lot of fun. Obviously, my Los Angeles Lakers are currently playing at this current moment, currently at halftime. I thought it was a good time to click record. I got my video up as we're speaking right now. But AD had a very dominant first half, 24 points, I believe 18 in the first quarter. So he's having himself a day. Wemby's having himself a solid game as well. We were playing the Spurs. A lot of other big games so far today. The NBA Cup has been very, very fun. But we will get into that in a minute. First things first. Thursday night football. Okay, the Philadelphia Eagles come out of here with a 26-18 victory. Right, listen. The Philadelphia Eagles, again, this was a game that just did not look good. It was not pretty on both sides. I questioned the defenses, the Philadelphia Eagles defense, the Washington Commanders defense. Are they legitimate defenses? You know, they look good these last 5 weeks statistically against some poor quarterbacks. You know, both teams have played Daniel Jones. The Philadelphia Eagles have played Cooper Rush, Deshaun Watson. You know, it has not been great quarterback play on either side of the spectrum here. So I was questioning the defense in this game, right? And I really did think this was going to be more of a high scoring, or more of a shootout, you know, a more Washington Commanders versus Baltimore Ravens type game. You know, I really thought this was going to be a high scoring game. I thought, you know, the Washington Commanders weren't going to be able to run the ball, which they were able to do a little bit yesterday. Obviously not with Jaden Daniels as much as I would have liked, but, you know, I thought this was going to be a very high-scoring game. I thought A.J. Brown was going to have himself a day. I thought Terry McLaurin could have himself a day and attack this secondary, right? But shout out Quinion Mitchell, who had a very, very good game, allowing Terry McLaurin to only one catch yesterday, right? So, again, this Philadelphia Eagles team, listen, you're coming off you have a short week, right? You come into a situation where this is one of those games where you should win, right? There was no, I took the Washington Commanders at plus 3.5, right? But that's more because I thought Jaden Daniels was going to have out there and attack this secondary. I really didn't trust this defense to succeed or to perform like that, and they proved me wrong. They went out here, they handled business, right? They were really about that action this Thursday, okay? But as a player, as a coach, if I'm Nick Sirianni, right, there's a lot of pressure and you know, credit or you know, he should be a reason, a vocal point of why they didn't succeed as well, as why they didn't, you know, run through this team like they should have, like some people thought they were, right? Listen, you have Saquon Barkley, who had himself an absolute day, 198 total yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Jalen Hurts not turning the ball over, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, everybody was getting touches yesterday, right? And listen, you have too much talent. You're going against a more superior team, because when you look at the Washington Commanders, outside of Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, right? I know you have 2 solid running backs, and Eckler and Brian Robinson, but who do you have, right? You have a solid O-line. Your O-line is doing a pretty good job, but outside of that, you have an old Zach Ertz, you know, Dynami Brown, who's had his moments here and there. You have Luke McCaffrey, who, again, is not like an elite receiver, and outside of Terry McLaurin, depending on how high you are on Terry McLaurin, he's a fringe, you know, 10 to 15-ish receiver, right? So if you're the Washington Commanders, you don't really have, you know, that much pieces on offense, as, you know, as much as you're overperforming, you're overachieving so far this year, right? And that's why everyone was saying Jaden Daniels was in this top 5 quarterback discussion. He's playing such phenomenal football, and he has definitely slowed down, right, to a T, okay? And so now you look at what this defense did, and when you look at this team, I mean, listen, you're defensively, you have all the big names. You got Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, you have Darius Slay, Jalen Carter, right? You have all these names on this team, right? And your defense showed up, was ready to play. You basically only allowed one big run, which almost ended up being a touchdown for the Commanders, and you were able to get after Jaden Daniels. You were able to get him on the ground and sack the quarterback, which was huge. You know, getting that pressure and getting after the quarterback, making him struggle, is what you need to do against a young quarterback and someone like Jaden Daniels. You've seen Pittsburgh Steelers with so much success being able to get after the quarterback with T.J. Watt, okay? And you've seen the exact same thing from Philadelphia. I mean, listen, Jaden Daniels was under duress. I did not think this offense looked good. They looked like they were just outmanned, you know, simple as that. They were definitely the undermanned team. They're missing a lot. There's a lot of holes in this team that got exposed by Philadelphia, right? You know, lack of receiver depth, lack of play calling creativity in Cliff Kingsbury. You always had that discussion with Cliff Kingsbury. He always starts very, very hot. His team looks very good, similar to that 7-0, 7-0, Arizona Cardinals team when he was the head coach. And then after that, you didn't win a game for the rest of the season, right? So these are all questions that we had for this team, and now it's kind of starting to die down, right? Now you're seeing Jaden Daniels come down to earth a little bit. He's not having these great games, these phenomenal numbers, right? And granted, he's playing some solid teams, some playoff teams, He's playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are currently in the lead in the division, the Philadelphia Eagles, who, again, after last night, are in the lead for the division. And they were a team that was, it's like a Super Bowl contending team. That's the kind of roster they have, right? So if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni, you should feel a little embarrassed on how close this game was. You should have dominated this game. And there's just too many times this year where I've seen the Philadelphia Eagles go out here, especially last week against the Dallas Cowboys. You're coming off a bye week. First 5 drives, punt, interception, fumble. Like, it was not pretty for them last week. It was not pretty for them this week. And when you have that much talent, right, it's just you shouldn't be underperforming like this and like the way you have, right? And so you've got to figure it out if I'm Nick Sirianni, because there has to be a lot of pressure on Nick Sirianni. There's been a lot of criticism on him, how he finished this year and how the game went yesterday. There was a lot of questions about some of the play calls he made, some of the decisions he had, right? And it's been like this all year long, And so there's a lot of pressure on Nick Sirianni to perform. So listen, if they come out here and fall flat in their feet in the playoffs in the postseason, first round exit, and come out flat like where they've been multiple times, I mean, it's just gonna become to that time. Philadelphia is not a team, an organization that messes around, whether it's in basketball, football. They want to win. They want to see success, and they get impatient. They will boo you, okay? Like they're that type of fan base that are going to let you know they're unhappy, okay? So Nick Sirianni, you got to figure it out, man. You have too much talent on that team to be struggling offensively, okay? Specifically on offense, especially when you are the better team, when it comes to roster depth, when it comes to the big names, the big-time stars, you should have dominated this game, and you didn't. But now I want to get into the Rookie of the Year race, okay? The Rookie of the Year race, you have Bo Nix, okay, who has been putting on a case for himself to be in this conversation, in this Rookie of the Year conversation. He's been outperforming, Drake May and Caleb Williams, right? He's been doing a great job. And early in the year, it didn't go so sweet. Those first 2 weeks were a rough 2 weeks for him. You played the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Seattle Seahawks, right? You were just kind of outmanned. You were trying to get your feel for the game and get your feet wet in the NFL, and it was just a tough 2 matchups for you, right? And this is at a time when we thought the Seattle defense was an elite defense, right? With Tariq Woolen, Devon Witherspoon, and some of those guys on that team, right? So, again, I just want to show some love to Bo Nix, right? I mean, listen, I've seen a lot of, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix conversations. They're, comparing their stats these last couple games and how they've been performing. But you look at Bo Nix's last 6 games. Bo Nix in his last 6 games, 1,300 yards, 666.7 completion percentage, 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, 180 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, right? And you're pushing your team into the playoffs, right? You just lost 2 games. You lost to the smoking hot Baltimore Ravens, who just outmanned you, outgunned you, and you lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, who nobody's beat this entire year, right? So you're sitting in you're feeling good about the games you've lost, right? Because you're losing to great teams. You're losing to teams that are supposed to make runs in the Super Bowl, right? And then you compare him to a guy like, Jaden Daniels, his last 7 games, including the game versus Philadelphia last night, okay? Jaden Daniels, 1,400 yards, 61 completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 250 rushing yards, right? And granted, he had that rib injury, right? And since that rib injury, he hasn't been able to run as much. They kind of look like they've been trying to take care of him, right? But, I mean, if you compare these 2 quarterbacks, you had Jaden Daniels. They were saying he was having a legendary season. They were putting him in this top 5 quarterback discussion. And now you're looking at Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. You're saying, wait a minute. Bo Nix, slow start, but now he's picking it up. Jaden Daniels, hot start, but now he's slowing down, right? And now he's coming to earth a little bit. And now you have a situation where Bo Nix, he's 100-yard difference, and Jaden Daniels played 1 extra game. Better completion percentage, more touchdowns, right? The same amount of interceptions in those last 6-7 games, and more touchdowns on the ground, which, granted, Jaden Daniels has been injured. They want to protect him of his rib injury. I understand completely, okay? But when you compare the situations, Bo Nix, elite defense. He just has to take care of the ball and make the right plays. He's doing so. Team playoff contention. They're pushing for a playoff spot. You look at Jaden Daniels. We didn't know what to expect, right? defense to start the year was not very good. Defense has definitely picked it up. In the secondary, they still struggle a bit against the run, but they've been playing a lot better. Dan Quinn's got his group to play. Now on offense, you have Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive mind head OC, the great OC. He's very highly respected in this league, and he's seen as one of a brilliant offensive mind. And now you take the best version of Jaden Daniels, you simplify the game for him early on. You start to see these guys take strides and strides and strides, and now he starts playing true NFL football, and now you start to see him slow down. So now the question is, is Jaden Daniels coming to earth? Is he underperforming? Is he going through his rookie slump? Is Cliff Kingsbury not calling great plays anymore? Is he becoming too predictable as a play caller? Because, you're lacking weapons on both sides in these situations. Jaden Daniels, all outside of Terry McLaurin, who do you really have? I know you have 2 running backs, but Austin Eckler was your number 1 receiver last night, okay? And then you look at Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin has not panned out as dynamic as we all thought, but a couple big play drops. Him and Bo have just not been able to get that big play to connect. But he's come in, he's been getting more touches, he's been getting more involved in this offense. A couple jet sweeps here and there, screens, stuff like that. So you're limited on weapons on both sides of the ball, okay? Andre Estime from Notre Dame, running back, who's drafted by Denver. He's supposed to have himself a starting game this week, so I'd love to see that from him. But, again, both of these quarterbacks have lackluster weapons, and they're doing solid jobs. I mean, they're definitely doing a better job than my guy Caleb Williams, who's out there in Chicago, who's got 3 number 1 receivers, right? So, again, I always knew these 2 guys were going to be the most pro-ready quarterbacks day one. We knew that. Bo Nix was just a lot of college experience. He was a high floor, low ceiling guy, right? Like he wasn't going to take much of a crazy jump. His potential was lower than some of these other guys. Jaden Daniel, I said, was going to be more day one ready. I still think Caleb Williams can be the best quarterback in this draft class, and a great quarterback in the NFL, right? But at this current moment, he's being outperformed. Okay, and I'm still sticking with Jaden Daniels for this current moment because, 7-4 after last night. You're still number 2nd in your division. You're pushing for the playoffs. You've had some big wins in this year, and you've lost some good teams last couple weeks. Bo Nix, same thing for him, right? I think Jaden Daniels had more splash plays this year, which is kind of, in our eyes and everybody's eyes, the voters' eyes, that he's kind of made those big plays that allows him to kind of, stay on top of the rookie ratings right at this current moment, the rookie race. But again, Bo Nix is climbing this chart. He's playing some solid football. Sean Payton's getting the best out of him. He's taking care of the ball. He's making the right reads. You're trying to run the ball as much as possible. The O-line is doing a great job in Denver. So again, this team could be very, very good. Both teams are very, very good. So again, hopefully we're going to be keeping a close eye on both these guys. At this current moment, again, I'm still sticking with JD5. I think he's just been the better quarterback throughout the entire year, but it's getting very, very close, especially if Jaden Daniels continues to regress statistically and when it comes to the numbers, and Bo Nix continues to improve and keep jumping week by week. It's going to be a real conversation at the end of the year. And then Anthony Richardson is now the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts once again, right? And we all knew, listen, the Joe Flacco situation, we knew that it was going to be, you put in a vet, you want to show Anthony Richardson how it's supposed to go, right? Just put him in, not playing very good. Joe Flacco has shown he's playing very, very good. So you make Joe Flacco the starter. You make Anthony Richardson watch and sit behind Joe Flacco, right? And if you're in Shane Steichen here, you are sitting in a situation where you're like, we have a lot of talented players, so we've seen Joe Flacco perform. We've seen Joe Flacco win games and make plays with these receivers. Anthony Richardson was not doing it. You've got to make a change. We're a competitive team. We want to win games, right? We want to compete for a division, especially with Jacksonville having a fall-off year and the Houston Texans not being as dominant as we all thought they were going to be, right? So this was an opportunity for them to go out there and steal some games, and Joe Flacco just did not perform. I was high on Joe Flacco being a guy that's going to go out there and help your younger guys flourish. He has not done that. For the last 2 weeks, it has not been pretty. I believe, 7 interceptions in that time frame. He has not played good football. Obviously, the offense was lacking, so now it's time to make a change. Anthony Richardson, hopefully he's motivated. Hopefully he's ready to come in here and compete, because this is what you're going to have to do, right? And now you're playing a New York Jets defense who you just seen struggle against an athletic QB in Kyler Murray, right? And now you get into a situation where this New York Jets defense is not the same defense to start the year. It's not as good. It's not as elite, right? They've been getting exposed ever since Robert Saleh has been fired, right? And you've seen that. It's clear as day, okay? And again, You are underdogs in this upcoming game, but I'm going to be the one to say that I got the Indianapolis Colts coming out here and winning this game, and I'll take the Indianapolis Colts plus 4.5, plus 3.5, whatever it is, okay? But I like this matchup for them, right? You have a not a very good run, one of the worst run defenses in the league, and you're going to be able to get Jonathan Taylor involved early on and get him going, right? We've seen what he's done this year. I believe only one time, when he's fully healthy, he hasn't gone over 100 yards, I believe, unless I'm maybe mistaken that statistic. But he's been playing phenomenal football nonetheless, right? He's been their workhorse this entire year when he's healthy. And I'm looking for a big Jonathan Taylor game and Anthony Richardson just to take care of the football, hit some open receivers, let your guys make plays, and this could be looking at a very solid win this upcoming week. But I'm so excited to see Anthony Richardson back in the starting lineup, obviously with his freakish ability and his huge frame. It's just great. It's fun watching him play football at a high level, right? So hopefully he comes out there and competes, and especially against the Jets, who again, they are desperate for something. They're gonna, they are falling apart as we speak. And if you can go out there and just put your foot on their throats and just, end their season 100%, as one of the worst seasons in Aaron Rodgers' history, I would love to see that, right? So go ahead, and I'm happy to see this guy come out here and compete this upcoming week. But next, but not last, we're going to be discussing NFL Pick'ems. Okay, NFL Pick'ems for what's the week? Week 11, excuse me. Alrighty. We had the Commanders at Philadelphia for this one. Again, I would have picked the Commanders to win, so I already starting the week off 0-1. Now we get into the 10 a.m. game. We have the Green Bay Packers playing at the Chicago Bears. Green Bay Packers, 5.5-point favorites. Over under 40.5 points in Chicago. Listen, I love Caleb Williams, but there is just too much going on over here in Chicago, with the O-line, with his play, holding on to the ball too long, the OC getting fired. Now you get into a second play caller. So, who knows? Maybe Caleb Williams comes out here, looks like a legitimate quarterback with a different play caller. They simplify a lot of things for him, and they allow him to, sling the ball and throw the ball around. But, again, I'm going with Green Bay here. 5.5. I don't think that's too crazy to see. This Chicago defense has not been very good against the run this year. These last couple of weeks, they've just been off, since the hot start that they had. Okay, so I'm taking Green Bay here. And then you got Detroit versus Jacksonville. I mean, is this even a question? Detroit, 14-point favorites in Detroit. I'm taking the Detroit Lions all the way. Road to a Super Bowl. Let's go. This is my team for the rest of the year, since my Las Vegas Raiders are obviously eliminated from everything. The next game, we have the Minnesota Vikings playing in Tennessee versus the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis will be playing in this game. Minnesota's a 6-point favorite, over under 39.5. Again, Sam Darnold had himself a bad week last week with 3 interceptions. I expect a big bounce back week for him to take care of the ball. You have Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson coming back from injuries, looking great. Jordan Addison. You still have AJ Jones. Aaron Jones has been playing great football this year. So, great defense. Your defense is still looking very good. I'm taking Minnesota here. Again, I would take Minnesota by 6. You know what? Actually, I lied. I would take Tennessee by 6, plus 6. I think they can keep it close enough because their defense is actually pretty good. But I'm taking Minnesota here. And then we have Las Vegas in Miami, 10 o'clock game. Miami by 7-point favorite, over under 43.5 points. Listen, I know this is my team here. Okay, and I'm hoping we don't win a game because there's too many 2-win teams, and I need to lose games. I want Shedeur Sanders at this point, but I am sitting here. I wouldn't be surprised if we keep it close. Las Vegas plus 7. I would mess around with that. I would throw a little cheddar on there because I think, I don't know. I just feel like this is one of those games where we can come out here and really compete and keep it close. So I wouldn't be surprised there. But I'm taking Miami here to win it. Again, Miami's a better team, has more weapons, better quarterback play here. Boom. The Los Angeles Rams go to New England to play the New England Patriots. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites, and I'm not going to think much about this one. Christian Gonzalez, great receiver. He's going to be able to affect that, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, but Kyron Williams on the ground is just too dynamic. Matthew Stafford's just too dynamic. Drake May does not have enough help on this offense. I don't expect them to be able to score or outscore this team. This New England defense has had its moments looking good, but I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams here at 4.5. Money line, whatever you want to take. I got the Rams here. And then we got the Cleveland Browns at the New Orleans Saints. Okay. This is a revenge game for Jameis Winston here, okay? You have Jameis Winston coming back to the New Orleans, a place that didn't want to let him be a starter. You know, he had his moments playing starting games, but he was loved by that fan base. That fan base loved him. He loved New Orleans, right? So, listen, I'm here for a trap game. Cleveland, to win this game. Jameis Winston's going to come out here and sling the ball. You just lost Marshawn Lattimore. Derek Carr's not playing good football. Outside of Alvin Kamara, who do you really have? Chris Olave out for the season. You know, nobody else is really performing. I don't trust, any of these guys on the defense. I don't trust any of the guys on the offense outside of Alvin Kamara. Cleveland, you still have Jerry Jeudy. Elijah Moore's been playing a lot better. You have Nick Chubb back, who I expect to expose this team here. Boom. You have a better quarterback than than Deshaun Watson, what you're getting from him. So I'm going with the Cleveland Browns here. Boom. Sign it, sealed, and delivered. And then we have the Indianapolis Colts playing the New York Jets. Again, you already know how I got here. I got the Indianapolis Colts +4. Indianapolis to win here. Okay, listen, this is the New York Jets should not be favored again for the rest of the season. Okay, until further notice. They have not played good football. They're not a good football team. They are poorly coached. They have poor players. Their quarterback is washed. Okay, I'm taking Indianapolis Colts here. Anthony Richardson bounced back with his win as his first start in his second stint as a starter. Boom. Baltimore playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Baltimore is favored by 3.5. The over-under is 48.5 points. Listen, this Pittsburgh Steelers defense can be the best defense in the league. And if it's not the best, it's up there for top 2. This defense has been phenomenal. TJ Watt, Hayden Highsmith. Listen, this team has been very, very good. Okay, Joey Porter Jr. has been playing great. Minka Fitzpatrick is still a star. Listen, Baltimore does not play good against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar Jackson specifically does not play good against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year with Kenny Pickett, they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh on a game-winning touchdown by Kenny Pickett. And that was when the Baltimore Ravens had this elite defense. And now their secondary is not performing like they have been. I trust Russell Wilson, George Pickens Jr., Mike Williams to go out there and dominate and sling the ball around the field. I'm taking Pittsburgh Steelers +3.5. All right, this team is good, well coached, great defensively. You added another weapon. Okay, again, I think Russell Wilson is playing good enough football to go out there and make it happen. And you've seen what he did in that fourth quarter against the Washington Commanders, connected with Mike Williams for a big-time touchdown. So I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Boom. Atlanta Falcons playing the Denver Broncos in Denver, 1 o'clock game. Denver is 2.5-point favorites. Over-under is 44.5, which is kind of high for a Denver Broncos game. Man, this is a tough game to call here, okay? Because you look at what the Baltimore Ravens did to this team, and I know Baltimore Ravens is not Atlanta, right, with how high-powered they are, but they were able to run the ball all over this team. Lamar Jackson was able to throw the ball all over this team. They exposed this Denver defense really, really bad. And I still think this Denver defense is great. Don't get me wrong. Everyone has their bad games, right? You kind of remove some pieces from this defense, so they're going to have those weeks where you struggle defensively. But, man, I want to go Atlanta here as the underdog. Bijan Robinson, Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Darnell Mooney's been playing amazing this year. Kyle Pitts has finally started to put stuff on tape, okay? Defensively, you struggled against the run. The secondary, you have some good guys who have showed up and made some plays. A.J. Terrell, Jesse Bates is looking like a Defensive Player of the Year. Patrick Surtain also looking like a Defensive Player of the Year, okay? Denver did just trade away Baron Davis. I am going with the Atlanta Falcons here. I think they have enough offensively to score more points than Denver. And I think if Denver can't run the ball successfully against the Atlanta Falcons, like some of these other teams have, that's going to be a huge issue. Because I trust A.J. Terrell in the secondary to go out there and give problems for this lackluster receiving core. So I'm going with Atlanta here as the underdog. I got multiple underdogs in this whole pick'ems, which is, first time for stuff like that seriously. But again, I love it there. I'm taking Atlanta here to get a win on the road. Boom. You have Seattle going to San Francisco. Last time they played San Francisco in Seattle. Obviously, we know how that ended. San Francisco's 6.5-point favorites. Over-under is 47.5 points. Yeah, listen, I'm sorry. I love Geno Smith. I really, really do. I question the head coach. defensively because you can't stop anything on the ground, right? And that forces you to have to overplay the run and over pursue, and then you have problems in the secondary when a team can run and set up the play action. This is going to be an ass whooping. I would take San Francisco by 7 in this one, to be honest, although it's a big favorite, right? But I just think Christian McCaffrey's back. He's going to have himself a hell of a day. Christian McCaffrey over 79.5 rushing yards. Hammer it. I know I already did. Boom. Yeah, San Francisco here, I'm not thinking twice. They're going to win this game. This is the biggest game of the week. Prime time, biggest game of the week. We have Kansas City going on the road into Buffalo as the underdogs yet again. Buffalo -2, over under 46.5. Kansas City traveled into Buffalo last year with the same offensive situations, and you lost in Buffalo to Buffalo. And now, Josh Allen, yeah, he's playing a hell of a year, right? These last couple weeks, you started to see him throw the ball more, right? They're starting to play more through Josh Allen. They kind of went away from James Cook and how good he was on the ground this year, which concerns me a little bit going into this game, especially in a game where you won't have Keon Coleman, you won't have Amari Cooper, you won't have Dalton Kincaid. Listen, if you're a smart man, you're going to throw money on Kansas City to win this game. Because even with no Harrison Buckner, there's no reason why they shouldn't win this game. They should dominate this game in retrospect, right? You have the better quarterback. You could run the ball. You have one of the best defenses in the league. Trent McDuffie will eliminate whoever the hell they have out there running routes, whether it's Shakir or whoever, Mac Hollins. Yeah, listen, Kansas City's going to win this game. Buffalo's missing too many players to be 2-point favorites. And the fact that they're 2-point favorites with all these players missing is just bizarre to me, right? And I do think that if Kansas City was going to lose a game on the road, it would be to a team like Buffalo. But I just don't see it happening, right? So I got Kansas City here to win straight up. Boom, Kansas City to win this game. I would even floor it to +2. Just take Kansas City straight up. There's no reason why they should lose this game. Boom, I'm going to put my faith on Patrick Mahomes to stay undefeated. Boom. Cincinnati, Sunday night game. Cincinnati playing on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert's been playing very good football these last couple weeks. You have the Chargers are 1.5-point favorites. Okay, listen. This is a must-win for Cincinnati, obviously. You have to win this game, right? I expect Joe Burrow to come out here and just sling the ball and be Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Joe Burr, all right? I expect Jamar Chase to have himself a good week. T. Higgins coming back this week to get himself involved, right? They've been doing a great job so far offensively. It just matters of that defense. And I think this defense can have a solid week due to the fact that you're playing the Chargers, so you know they want to go out there and run the ball, right? And if you get into a situation where you force Justin Herbert to try to, dot the field, dot that secondary up, well, you like your chances there, right? You like your chances against Quentin Johnson and Ladd McConkey, okay? You do, and Josh Palmer. So again, I like this for Cincinnati. I know you're underdogs here, but again, I think you can win this game. I think you should win this game. Boom. I got Cincinnati winning this game straight up. Boom. Monday night, right? Monday Night Football, we have the Houston Texans traveling to the Dallas Cowboys. Houston is 7-point favorites. Listen. Listen. Houston by 7. Okay, Joe Mixon's going to have himself a hell of a day. They're going to run the ball all over this team. You're going to have Nico Collins back, which is going to help C.J. Stroud. You're going to have Tank Dell still there at full strength. Dalton Schultz. This defense has been playing really, really good. And again, this is going to be, I'm not even thinking twice about this. Nope. Houston by 7. Houston to win on the road, to go out there and go belt to ass to the Dallas Cowboys and just put another, knife to the stomach for this Dallas Cowboys fan base. Let's go Texans. Well, we'll definitely see how this all plays out because, again, I took a lot of underdogs in there. Let's see how many underdogs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 underdogs. That's a lot of underdogs. And I took the Commanders well. That's 6 underdogs total. Okay. Well, we'll see how this goes. That'd be very interesting. I got to start putting up a graphic is what I got to start doing. Putting my weekly pick'ems, posting on Twitter or X nowadays and TikTok. Start doing that. I'll make a graphic. Oh, boom. The NBA Cup. I mean, man, listen. You've got some primetime matchups as my Los Angeles Lakers are up 88-83 versus the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama. Man. But listen, I mean, the NBA Cup, man, it's been fun. And if you're, a casual NBA fan, who's trying to get into the NBA and trying to watch NBA on a more consistent basis, the NBA Cup raises the stakes a little bit, right? You get into a situation where you're playing for a tournament, you're playing for some $500,000 per person. I believe that was the price, right? The Lakers won last year, right? And that's when we had our miracle NBA Cup run, right? And we looked like we're the best team in the NBA. And then after that, post NBA Cup, we looked like a mediocre football team. But again, man, listen. You just have so much great matchups this on Tuesday, and now on Friday you have some more great matchups today. So I'm going to be watching a lot of basketball today, okay? But listen, I just want to give a huge shout out to the Atlanta Hawks. No Trae Young. You go into Boston. You win this game. You win the first game in the NBA Cup. Jalen Johnson with a triple-double, okay? What does it say? Triple-double? A win over Boston. I don't know why I stuttered on that. Okay, but Jalen Johnson gave you a 19-point triple-double. Dyson Daniels, okay, 28, 3, and 7, 6 steals in this game, right? I think he's leading the league in steals per player in the NBA per game. He's playing phenomenal, right? You had that game without Trae Young. I literally thought Boston was going to run through this team. I thought Boston was going to win by a blowout. What the spread was 14.5. I thought they were going to run through that, and I was completely wrong, okay? The Atlanta Falcons have been such a fun team to watch, right? Because they've had moments where they've looked, they struggled. They struggled defensively. They struggled with Trae Young not performing, Jalen Johnson not having a good night. Who's going to be that extra guy to help push this offense and start scoring some points? Zachary Ricochet has been having his moments. Dyson Daniels been doing his damn thing, all right? And huge shout out to Dyson Daniels because he was a guy that on the New Orleans Pelicans wasn't getting enough play because of how many guys they had, because of how many 3-and-D wings and guards they had on their roster, right? He just kind of fell his way down the depth chart. And now they traded for Dejounte Murray. And so it just, what I'm saying, it never would have worked. And now you have your ideal player alongside a Trae Young, a defensive-minded wing, a defensive-oriented wing who could also score for you, okay? And you're seeing that he can not only score alongside Trae Young, he can play defense alongside Trae Young, and he can go out there and guard your best player on the other team. So Dyson Daniels is just a great fit alongside Trae Young in Atlanta and exactly what they need. Zachary Ricochet, again, he's been doing the same type of thing. That 3-and-D wing, that playing alongside Trae Young. He's been able to, have a couple games where he's, splashed offensively. But this team has showed some real strides, and they're a fun team to watch, especially when Trae Young's in the lineup. They're just a fun team to watch. And if you're, not hating on them and you're supporting that team, it's a great team to watch. So you just got to be happy for Trae Young and this Atlanta Hawks team, okay? Especially getting a win over the Boston Celtics, who we thought, were a unbeatable force for a big portion of the year, okay? Boom. And then I do want to show a little love to my Detroit Pistons here. JB Bickerstaff with a game-winning play, calls a timeout. He calls a play he calls the game-winning play. He sets up Jalen Duren for the game-winning dunk. And that's just huge to see a coach go in there to Detroit and properly use a Jaden Ivey and a Cade Cunningham, okay, to get some people like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley to play alongside him, to add some shooters around Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, to add some space in. Jalen Duren's playing great this year. This has been just a fun team to watch. Cade Cunningham is kind of taking that role of, a superstar. He's trying to get into that tier, that echelon of players. And although he struggled in the second half and closing out games, that's just going to happen with a young team, right? I mean, he especially with no Jaden Ivey, you've seen him struggle these last three games. But again, it's just such a fun team to watch when they're buying in defensively. Offensively, they still struggle. You still like to see a little bit more efficiency on that three ball from them specifically, him and Jaden Ivey. They still have their nights where they look very, very good. But, I mean, listen, 3 triple-doubles back-to-back. He won an NBA Cup game. Okay, he's just playing great football, and I'm so happy for the Detroit Pistons with the whole Monty Williams situation. Like, I've been watching this team when they had Saban Lee, Killian Hayes in the starting lineup, and Corey Joseph and all these guys, and Isaiah Stewart was your starting five, It was just a very bad situation, a very bad team. And so I'm happy to see Cade Cunningham start to be a competitive team, because that's all I ever wanted for them and the Detroit Pistons and these guys. And now you add, Asar Thompson coming back off of injury. When he will come back, I'm not sure. But to add that guy back, boom, boom, it's just great to see, right? And then, the youth, you still see the youth in this team. And for the Detroit Pistons, when you're closing out games in the fourth quarter of games, when you got to just, make a couple key plays to win these games, But again, I'm happy that they're winning games. A young team with a bright future, so I'm very excited for them. But the biggest game of the day on Tuesday, the NBA Cup, you had the comeback. The Splash Brothers were back in the Bay. Okay, you had this was an absolutely phenomenal game. The atmosphere was electric. The energy was electric. It was a Klay Thompson homecoming. You had everybody in the stands wearing a sailorboat hat. Right, it was just a great place to be, a great environment. You had the Klay Thompson. Little documentary, little tribute that he had going on. They loved it. Clay and Curry, or Curry and Clay were talking trash to each other. They had their moments. They were jawing to each other, having a little friendly banter. And you just love it because this is great for the sport. Everyone circled their calendars to see this. Klay Thompson comes back, especially because he's having a good start to his year, which is unlike him these last couple years, right? A good start to his year. He's coming out here. He showed up against his old team, right? I mean, listen, Curry gave us 37, Kyrie 21, Luka 31, Klay 22. Even Draymond Green's out here shooting 50% from three. This whole game was just electric from start to finish. It went down to the wire. I had Dallas winning this game, but again, Steph Curry just did some Steph Curry-like things, and sometimes all you can do is, shake your head and just say, we'll get you next time. But, man, this Golden State team definitely looks fun. Looks electric, and that bench unit has been performing very, very well, right? Again, Dallas is an interesting team because they have moments where they look like one of the best teams in the NBA, and they have those games where they look like like they don't know how to play basketball. So again, it's something to look out for, and definitely something I'm gonna be looking into going forward. But I mean, a great slate of the NBA Cup games. And then I got to talk about my big man. The best player in the world at this current moment. Not really, but, I'm going to keep saying that because my guy's front runner for MVP is Anthony Davis. Okay? 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 56% from the field, 40% from 3 on 1.5 to 2 attempts a game, 80% from the free throw line, 3.5 stocks per game, steals plus blocks. Listen, I couldn't be happier for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has been through injury. He's been criticized. He's been, talked about being traded. He's been in every kind of rumor and every kind of drama that you could possibly think of as an NBA player. And what makes it worse is that when he plays, he's a great player. 24 and 11 was his numbers beforehand, like last year, or the years that we weren't very good. He was playing great basketball. He was, in the Defensive Player of the Year talks, and stuff like that. And he was always a great player, but we were always waiting for him to take this jump offensively. We wanted him to be the number one. We wanted him to go in here, be the aggressor, and take over and be the alpha of this team. And we've been waiting for 4 years. We thought when he won a championship and he was the best player on that team that he was going to take over the reins and we were going to ride AD as the 1 and LeBron as the 2, right? And now you kind of see LeBron kind of take over this, old veteran point guard, Chris Paul-like role where you go onto a team and now I'm playmaking, I'm facilitating, I'm rebounding, I'm doing all these things. And so I can still score my buckets, shooting 40-some%, career high from 3 this year. But I can also play make, and he's been doing just that. I mean, he had a triple-double just the other night. He's been doing great, averaging, I think, 8 assists per game. He's been helping these young fellas out. Obviously, we've had on the road, I think we lost 4 straight. 4 out of what we're 1-4 on the road, undefeated at home currently still. Hopefully picking up another road win today against the San Antonio Spurs, right? But listen, Anthony Davis has been through it all. He's been criticized. He's been talked about being injury prone. He's been talked about being in trade rumors. He's been talked about he's not a elite player. He's not a top 5 player in the league no more. And now he has solidified himself as so. And now Anthony Davis we're playing through him. J.J. Redick, a point of emphasis this season, was playing through Anthony Davis, was getting Anthony Davis the ball and letting Anthony Davis facilitate our offense and run through him. LeBron James off the ball, Max Christie off the ball, Austin Reeves off the ball. And now we have been doing that, and we have the best version of AD. AD is a man on fire. Listen, this man can do no wrong right now. He is just playing like the best player in the world. Okay, and I know Jokic is on his whole thing over there. I know Luka is on his whole thing over there in Dallas. But when you talk about a two-way player who's going to bring what he brings defensively, who's going to bring what he does offensively, to me, he is the best player in the world at this current moment. Okay, and there's no arguing that. He is the best player in the world at this current moment. I don't think there's a better two-way player in the world right now. Okay, Jokic again, what he does offensively, nice, but man, AD deserves to be in that legitimate MVP conversation. He deserves to be talked about like a top 5 player in the league. He deserves to be in this discussion, and I couldn't be happier for him. And you know what makes this all much better is we were talking about, me personally, I liked AD when he was shooting mid-range, when he was effective with the mid-range, and I wish AD would lock in more shooting the 3. JJ Redick said, don't worry, we're going to point of emphasis this offseason. AD, shoot more threes. Shoot them with confidence. And he's been doing so at a great clip this year, 40% from 3. Okay? This version of AD is the best version of AD we've ever seen. And he's in year 32. You're right, so this is great, right? Obviously, do I think we're a championship contender with the roster we have right now? No, right? But this is great. You have LeBron being able to play like a 40-year-old LeBron, okay, because now AD's playing this dominant. Austin Reeves is playing some solid foot basketball. Rui Hachimura is playing some solid basketball. Max Crispy's having himself a bounce-back game today. Dalton Connects had his moments. I'm just so happy for Anthony Davis and this team, okay, boom. But I just couldn't be happier with everything going forward. Okay, so AD for MVP. That's my vote, and I'm going to ride with him until the wheels fall off. Last part of this podcast, we will be talking about college football very briefly. Okay, college football. If you don't watch college football, well, you should start, because college football is one of the funnest in sports environments you could possibly be around. Okay, for tomorrow, going to San Jose State versus Boise State in San Jose, watching Ashton Jeanty, possible Heisman winner, okay, go out there and play. And that's just like a dream come true with how good Ashton Jeanty's been playing. You watch him on TV, you're like, man, this guy is just an amazing player. You watch him in real life, like I never have yet, but I'm going to. That's a different type of energy. So hopefully it's going to be a good game. Hopefully Boise State goes out there and has a good, obviously wins. I want them to win, right? Being ranked 13 in the country at this current moment. But I hope Ashton Jeanty has himself a big hell of a game. But I did want to show Boise State some love, right? Being one of the teams, you're still not in the top 12 yet, but you're on your way to get there, okay? You just got to keep winning games. You beat UNLV, who was your biggest competition going forward, with in the Mountain West and in that non-Power 5 team, the non-Power 5 team to slide into the college football playoff. You looked like the Group of 5. You are the best Group of 5 team, and you just got to continue dominating, all right? I'm praying for you guys to win out and make it there, because, listen, your only loss this year is against an Oregon team that's number 1 in the country, and that everybody's saying is playing like the best team in the country. They look the best. They keep getting better, and you should have won that game, So, again, very fun team to watch. So I'm very excited to go watch that game tomorrow. But USC, listen, Jaden Maiava is now the starting quarterback for my USC Trojans. Lincoln Riley has made a switch. It looked like we were going to... Listen, Miller Moss was in Heisman conversations. He was in being drafted in the NFL this year. Like, he was in those types of conversations like the first 6 weeks, right? I get it. We've lost a lot of close games. He's had a couple of bonehead turnovers late in games that hurt us in a lot of big games. Penn State specifically, we could have had a chance at a game-winning field goal, but instead he turns the ball over with 10 seconds left in the half. You just can't do that, okay? You can't do that in regulation, okay? But Jaden Maiava, transfer from UNLV. Again, UNLV, man, what's up with them with having QBs that transfer? But Jaden Maiava, I've watched a lot of his stuff at UNLV, obviously, when he transferred over to USC. He looks like a good quarterback. How he is in camp, like how he practices and how he looks at USC, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Know a couple people at USC personally, so talking to them, they said he looked good, but Miller Moss was just like the man coming in, obviously coming off a 7-touchdown performance against Louisville in the bowl game, right? But there was still competition in camp, but Miller Moss won that competition, so I'm interested to see how he plays. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on him. Hopefully Lincoln Riley get the best out of him, because I know he can. I know what he did for Miller Moss this year. I'm hoping that he can add that dual threat ability that we've kind of been missing, that a lot of quarterbacks have nowadays. So hopefully we can see him use his legs and Lincoln Riley take advantage of his dual threat ability and his ability to use his legs. So it's going to be an interesting game. Get to watch, USC go against Nebraska and Matt Rule. Both of us are playing for bowl contention. It's not an easy slate the rest of the way. We're playing for a bowl game. They're playing for a bowl game. We both have a tough rest of the schedule to come. So, things can get hot if USC doesn't make a bowl game. Let me tell you, man. But yeah, I'm going to be very excited to see Dylan Raiola go out there and play against Jada Mayava. I think it'll be a great game this weekend. But when you talk about betting, we want to talk about betting. College football picks. Okay. Tennessee, plus 10.5. Boom. UGA versus Tennessee. Carson Beck and this Georgia team, Kirby Smart, they are in a you cannot lose situation. You cannot lose another game. You have to win out. You have to win the rest of your games. If you slip up, you are out of contention for winning a national championship. Okay? And you have not looked good. Carson Beck has not looked good. This offense has not looked good. But this defense has looked very, very darn good. And now you're telling me Tennessee, who already has quarterback issues, like I'm not saying issues, but there's questions about Nico and how great he really is. He had one good game last week, right? He kind of took over the reins and led the team to a victory. But Nico is also injured, so now he's going to be a game-time decision. We don't know how he's going to play on Saturday or tomorrow. We don't know how he's going to look in that game. And two great defenses. I think UGA can get to 20 points, and I think Tennessee is going to keep it close enough, right, and not allow too many points, but not score enough on offense to where you're looking at them covering the 10.5, right? So I got Tennessee plus 10.5. I think that's a solid win. And then I got Oregon here. Oregon win by 14.5. Listen. Oregon has just looked like the most dominant team in football this year, right? They've covered the spread against Purdue when it was 30-something.5. They dominated last week. They just look like a very good football team. Dylan Gabriel's playing some good ball. He's in that Heisman conversation. Jordan James playing like a very good running back. They've been able to run the ball against absolutely everybody. Tez Johnson, hopefully he's coming back from injury this upcoming week. But I like Oregon at plus 14.5. I just feel like 14.5 is just not enough for a team like Oregon who can score like they do and play defense like they do, especially against lower competition. So, again, going Oregon plus 14, minus 14.5. Boom. So I will be posting those picks on Twitter/X, TikTok, and stuff like that to let you guys know. So those who follow me on TikTok and stuff can tail my picks if you would like. But with that being said, hopefully y'all enjoyed today's episode. Yeah, I had a fun time talking about the NBA Cup and about, AD being MVP favorite at this current moment, some college football, which I'll be talking about more going forward. With that being said, if you watch this on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and turn on post notifications and subscribe to the channel. If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, follow the show, give it a 5-star rating as it helps improve the algorithm. And with that being said, we out.